Тыранули меня, пацаны!
Ишь ты, дергается еще.
Ай, мля!
Great job, boys. We wiped them out. Everybody have some rest. And you, Stalker, come over here. Let's have a chat.
Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, Chornobyl, is a game that needs little introduction. There are so many video essays out there delving into this game and its legacy that there's really nothing I can say to introduce this game that hasn't been said 100 times before by way better YouTubers than me. I'm a pretty big fan of Shadow of Chernobyl. It's one of those games I play once a year just to vibe in and soak in the atmosphere, but I've only ever beaten the game once. And the other Stalker games I've owned for years, but never delved deeper than a couple hours into them. I've always loved them more as mood pieces than actual games themselves, because vanilla Stalker is infamously jank. I'll delve into that a bit later. Despite that, I still consider Stalker to be one of my favorite PC games of all time. So when the trilogy Shadow dropped on Xbox during the most recent showcase, I bought them immediately. Yeah, I've owned all of them on Steam for 15 years now, so why drop another $40 for a console port? Well, for achievements mostly, but also to support the devs, seeing as their country is now in year 2 of an actual total war. And I'm happy to report that the game is pretty damn good on console. I mean, it's a janky mess, but that's the authentic Stalker experience. The controls transfer over well and the aiming feels good, or at least as good as vanilla gunplay can feel in a Stalker game. And all in all, I'm pleasantly surprised with this port. I'll most likely 100% each of the Stalker games, maybe not in a row, but this will probably be part 1 of 3. So, slap on your Adidas tracksuits, grab your vodka, and... No, I'm not doing it. The slob jokes are so overplayed. Let's just dive into 100%ing Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl. So, class, before we do anything, what's the first thing every good achievement whore does? That's right, check for a difficulty achievement. Which there is in this case, beating the game on either of the highest difficulties, Veteran or Master. Usually this is a bad thing for us achievement hunters, but the consensus among the community is that playing Stalker games on the higher difficulties is the only way to play. And I don't mean that in a sense of like, oh bro, you gotta play on the hardest difficulty because, you know, these games are supposed to be super hardcore and unforgiving and you're a pussy if you play on easy. No, there's actually quite a few mechanical reasons as to why playing on Veteran or Master is the definitive Stalker experience. Is what I would say if I was an idiot. There's so many old threads out there spouting this nonsense, but it's long since been disproven. I'll get into the details of the difficulty later though. For now, let's start a new game on Veteran. The opening cinematic is kind of iconic. See, these graphics were pretty fucking mind-blowing in 2007, but looking at them now, The landscapes are pretty clearly flat, real-life photographs that were mapped and masked onto 3D planes. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just hard to unsee once you notice it. Sidorovich's greasy-ass mouth tearing the skin off a turkey leg is one of those shots that's just... it's been ingrained in my mind since I first played this game. Anyway, the opening is really confusing for someone who's never played this game before. For some reason, this guy is driving a truck seemingly full of corpses. It gets struck by lightning and then explodes, and then the following morning some scavenger looting the wreckage discovers that one of the corpses isn't actually a corpse, and is just unconscious. He carries him back to his employer, this thick boy named Uncle Sidorovich. Nobody actually calls him Uncle Sid. I don't know why I put Uncle in front of his name. He's just Sidorovich. The unconscious Stalker is us, and we don't remember much of anything, let alone how we ended up in that corpse truck. All we know is that we have a PDA with one note saved in it. Kill the Strelok. And thus we're thrown into the game. Again, if you're a complete newcomer to this series, there's a lot of lore to this setting that they don't really explain to you right off the bat. So you're just kind of dropped into this world, and there's no real explanation for what the zone is, what a stalker is. I originally had a whole section here giving you the setup in a nutshell, but we're already pushing 5 minutes into this video, and this is primarily a video just about achievement whoring through the game. So I'm not really going to give you the lowdown. I'm just going to assume you're already somewhat familiar. It doesn't really matter for the sake of this video. So, Sidorovich gives us our very first quest, which is to retrieve a flash drive from a stalker named Nimble, who was captured by bandits. Leaving his creepy little dungeon nets you our first achievement as you emerge in what's commonly called Rookie Village. This is your starting town, and it's worth exploring to gather up supplies and get a feel for what is and what isn't an interactable object. You might as well pick up everything at this point, but be warned, the weight system in this game is punishing. Before long, you'll barely be able to carry the bare essentials. So if I were you, I'd avoid picking up guns unless you're going to use them. They don't really sell for much, and they weigh a fuckload. So specifically in Rookie Village, I would say look for bread and vodka bottles, as there are cumulative achievements for consuming around 20 of both. Follow your objective marker and talk to Wolf. He'll tell you that his men are about to attack the bandit camp where Nimble is being held, and then he'll equip you with your first pistol and a knife. Before you leave Rookie Village, though, climb this ladder and unleash your inner Ezio across the rooftops. Through the hole in this ceiling here, knife the box and reach in to nab some really solid armor that'll help you a lot in the early game. Then follow the road outside the Rookie Village and head the opposite direction that you're supposed to go for the quest. You'll see a military checkpoint, and especially with the starting gear, these guys will fuck you up. So stay off the road and stick to the right. Try not to get spotted and look for these crates between these two bushes. Breaking these open with your knife, there's a boatload of ammo in here to start you off. Once you're done collecting all that, you can head in the direction of the first quest. Just past the Rookie Village, you'll spot a wounded man on the ground named Talek. This serves as your tutorial on the reputation system. The reputation system in this game is almost entirely insignificant unless you really want to get into the roleplay. I think it does affect your ending somewhat, but it's not really a big deal. And this is likely the first and the last time you'll probably even think about it. Talek begs you for a medkit, but unfortunately for him, there's an achievement for both killing him and saving him. So make a save here, and do those in any order that you like. But we all know what real Chads will choose. You'll also probably either see or hear a pack of dogs nearby. I'd advise attacking them to get a feel for the gunplay, which by the way made me immediately turn off the egregious aim assist, but also because there's a cumulative achievement for collecting and selling 20 dog tails. Now, dogs are pretty common enemies, but for some reason their tails are not common drops. It seems like only maybe 1 in 6 dogs even drop anything, so do your best RP as a burgeoning young serial killer and murder every stray dog you find across your playthrough, and take their tails. Follow your quest marker to Wolf's men who are scoping out the bandit camp, and talk to the leader. You can opt to go in alone, but there's really no reason to do that, so tell him you're ready to attack and join in the charge. This will be your first real taste of combat, and if you're new to the game, there's a lot you need to get used to. The gunplay in this game is, it's weird. For one, guns are not lasers. You can take your time to line up that perfect headshot on an unaware enemy, and even though your reticle is pixel perfect, you still might completely miss. Because all guns have this randomized bullet spread, not unlike the Fallout games. The other thing you'll notice is how bullet spongy some of the enemies can be. Now, granted, this is made way worse by the fact that you only start with a pistol. And the starting pistol in Shadow of Chernobyl is definitely in the running for worst gun in FPS history. Like, seriously, it's up there with the Klob. But there is more to it than that. Gunplay in Stalker has been analyzed so many times throughout the years, and there's a lot of conflicting reports, but I'll give you the basics. First off, the first shot you take when firing your gun will do a shitload more damage than the following rounds. So if you mag dump into an enemy's head, but the first bullet out of your gun misses, the enemy might be able to tank the rounds. But if that first bullet hits, it might be an insta-kill. There's really no in-between. So the first bullet out of your gun is called a super bullet, and there seems to be about a 1 second cooldown for the super bullet to reset. It doesn't really make any sense, but for that reason, I'd recommend putting every automatic gun you pick up on single shot mode by hitting LB and Y. Now I know this is obvious advice for literally any shooter, but do your best to aim for the head. Most games you can probably get away with hitting center mass, but enemies can be so spongy in Shadow of Chernobyl that headshots and utilizing the super bullets become necessary towards the end game. This is hard in the beginning as bullet dispersion is super high on early game weapons, but once you start rocking guns with better accuracy and scopes, it'll get a lot easier. This also means that there is an almost Bethesda game-esque stealth system when you get a silenced weapon. Because of the super bullets, you're effectively getting a damage multiplier like a stealth archer in Skyrim, and you can effectively clear out camps without getting spotted. The other thing to consider for gunplay is the difficulty. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of misinformation out there on what difficulty affects. For years, when a new player would complain about bullet sponge enemies in the game, the community would recommend playing on master difficulty because it increased bullet damage across the board. It made the game super realistic and hardcore because you could just drop enemies in a couple bullets, but you were equally as fragile. Only to find out that not only is that only half true, but it actually makes the bullet sponge problem worse. On master difficulty, yeah, you are really fragile and you do die quicker because you take more damage, but you also deal less damage, so enemies only become more spongy. It's worse all around. Unfortunately, we have no control over this since we have to play on at least veteran difficulty for the achievement, but I thought it was worth pointing out, as this game's bullet damage system is wildly confusing and misconstrued across the internet. There's a lot more at play too, like for example, there's a phantom bullet phenomenon where apparently there's an only 20% chance of a bullet from an enemy actually hurting you. Which is a weird way of implementing accuracy, but I'm not going to get too into that here. The point is, gunplay is weird and it feels like a roll of the dice sometimes. But that level of unpredictability can also make the gunfights pretty fun too, even if it doesn't feel that way in the early game. Anyway, kill the bandits, loot their shit, and get the flash drive from Nimble, who totally hid this thing in his prison pocket. Then return to Rookie Village and talk to Wolf and also Nimble too, who will reward you. Then talk to Sidorovich, who will give you the next main quest. Sidorovich will also be the primary giver of side quests, so feel free to take on some of those to earn extra cash and gear. But fair warning, most side quests are timed, so it may be beneficial to only take 1 or 2 at a time and not get too distracted while doing them. But that's completely up to you. While people do ignorantly refer to this game as Russian Fallout, it is neither Russian nor an RPG. There is no XP, there is no leveling system. The only upgrades you get is the gear you pick up and buy, as well as your artifacts, which I guess I should touch on since there's a few achievements concerning them. You'll happen across artifacts in the zone which you can equip for passive buffs, and almost all of them tend to be double-edged swords, in the sense that they give you both advantages and disadvantages. But with some creative combinations, you can buff your character pretty well. Just a friendly word of advice, try to avoid the meat chunk artifacts. They seem like they're really good because the stats imply that they're quadrupling your health, but what it really means is it's quadrupling your health regen speed, which is not really worth all of the downsides that come with it. There's so many achievements connected to artifact hunting, including one for finding all common and rare artifacts, that for now, I'd recommend that every time you find a new artifact type, just hang on to one of them. You can use these blue boxes found in most hub areas as a personal stash to hide them away, so they don't clutter your inventory. And that way, you can track which ones you have and haven't found. The only ones you'll need duplicates of are the artifacts that boost endurance, so any other duplicates you find, you can and should sell. Artifacts are the primary way of making money in this game. Anyway, back to the story, Sidorovich explains that Shrelok is a legendary stalker, one that actually made it all the way north to the Chernobyl power plant itself. Sidorovich has been trying to open up trade routes to the north in the direction of the power plant, but no one seems to return past a certain point. See, there's a rumor that deep within the power plant there's this artifact called the Wish Granter that, well, it grants wishes. Many stalkers have ventured north in search of it, but supposedly there's something in the air and it's said that they're brain begins to boil the further north they go. Apparently some people have discovered what's causing this, and he points you towards the Agroprom Institute to steal some documents from them. So we finally get to leave the first area and enter the second, which is aptly named the Garbage. As soon as you enter this new zone, you'll encounter a stalker named Yurik being mugged by bandits. We have to save him for an achievement, but this can be tough, as we're still probably very under-equipped at this point. Luckily, the game autosaves as you enter a new area, so you can just keep reloading until you pull it off. I managed it by getting as close as I possibly could, and then using the sawn-off shotgun to take out the first two guys really quick. Then I just got lucky that the third guy didn't blow Yurik away while I was reloading. A little ways up the road, you'll arrive at this car park. Make a save. This here tells you that, Bess here Bess? Whatever. B here will tell you that a pack of bandits is on their way to the car park right now, and he could use your help fending them off. There's an achievement for helping him, and Biss is the only one that needs to survive this onslaught, so all of his friends can die, but just take extra care to protect him. You can keep an eye on him and his positioning on the mini-map, since he's marked as the objective. And of course, reload a save if you have to. That's why you save before you enter this car park. Just like saving Yurik, this did take me a couple tries, but by the end of it, you'll be much richer from all the bodies to loot, and also 30 gamer score richer. After killing all those bandits, continue on through the Garbage, killing bandits along the way, and you'll arrive at a train station full of stalkers who ask you to, help fend off bandits. The only garbage here in the Garbage is, the enemy variety, am I right? The enemy variety is garbage. I need to get tested for autism, I think. These big firefights actually work in your favor a lot because you can loot the dead from both sides. Now that you've seen a decent amount of combat, if you have bread, use that to heal instead of bandages or medkits, and if you get radiation poisoning, use vodka to remove it instead of the meds. This way you can work towards those cumulative achievements. Or you can just eat and drink willy-nilly. I guess it really doesn't matter, as long as you get the achievement, right? Eventually you'll reach the space where there's a huge firefight between some stalkers and the military. Just outside the base, I found this artifact sitting inside of an anomaly, and despite having played this game for 15 fucking years, I still thought it'd be a good idea to just walk up and nab it. But hey, there's an achievement for dying to 5 different anomalies, so at least that's one off the list, I guess. Reloading, I just shot the artifact out of the anomaly and then picked it up. Anyway, join the stalkers here in their firefight, and once the smoke clears, unleash your inner Tarkov rat and just nab everything you can from the dead soldiers. Meet up with the stalker named Mole, who leads you to an entrance to an underground lab. Before you go down, make a save. You see, Mole is a total bro who helps us out of the goodness of his heart, and we repay the favor with some fucking hot lead, bitch! Yeah. Loot his corpse and take his, wait, he's supposed to have a unique pistol on him. Hold on, let me reload. Okay, there it is. Grab his pistol for the Mole's weapon achievement, and then reload a save, if you feel guilty about killing Mole. It really doesn't matter, I guess. If you're completely new to Stalker, enjoy this next level. No, really, I don't mean that sarcastically. Turn the volume up on your headphones and bask in the atmospheric lighting and the unnerving sound design. This is what I mean when I say I play this game for the vibe. You're also about to learn why some people consider this game to be a horror shooter. Eventually you'll reach Strelok's stash in here, and you'll get the Man Cave achievement. Then, enjoy your first jump scare as you try to leave. God damn it. Fucking gets me every time. You'll leave the lab and emerge in the Agroprom Institute, which is overrun with military. I think the game intends for this part to play out like a stealth section, but good fucking luck doing this stealthily. Just save after every little firefight you engage in because you're probably gonna die a lot here. On the 3rd floor of the main building, you'll find the documents you need, and then you can get the fuck out of there. But Before you leave the area outright, head to this bog in the northwest corner of the map and parkour your way into this train car while avoiding anomalies and mutants alike. You'll find a deserter cowering in here, and, I mean, after that encounter in the lab, can you blame him for pissing his pants and wanting to go home? Talk to him and get the Headhunter achievement. Head to your next story objective, which is also your second little town hub of the game. Just outside, you'll see a massive pack of dogs, which, remember, you need to sell 20 dog tails for an achievement. So it's worth your time to reenact that episode of the Chernobyl miniseries with Barry Keoghan. You know the one. Then head inside this new settlement, and again, despite 15 years of experience playing this game, I still managed to get lost trying to find the fucking bar here to turn in the documents. I really think this is a poorly designed area from like a level design perspective. Anyway, here at the 100 Rads bar, you can pick up another handful of side quests if you'd like. The barkeep sells some decent gear too. He's basically Sidorovich 2.0. Just outside the bar, you'll also find the arena, which, of course, there's an achievement for completing every fight. So just save before and after every fight, and do your best to take these guys on. There's not really any strategy here, especially since they give you predefined gear for each fight, so just do your best. At this point in the game, I'm not sure if it's reputation or story progress that prevents you from doing the last couple fights, but I could only do the first 3 or 4 fights here, so we'll come back to the arena later on in the playthrough. Here, I took a break from the main quest, did a bunch of side quests, chilled in the zone, and I also unlocked our bread eating achievement. Coming back to the story, when you enter the next area, Dark Valley, you'll encounter this guy named Bullet who belongs to the Duty faction. He asks you for help saving his buddy who was captured by bandits, so you set up an ambush for them. After the ambush, make a save, because the guy you just helped free, well, he's got a unique gun, one that's tied to an achievement. So, you know what that means. After this, in the southwest corner of this area, you'll find this little farmstead. Go here and talk to this guy who promises to give you a Gauss rifle for only 800 rubles. This is perfect since there's an achievement for finding a Gauss rifle. So give him the money and... Hey, wait, where's he going?
Piss off while you're still alive.
Oh. Alright. Oh, I guess he did say wait for him. Alright, let's try that again.
Listen to me carefully, sucker. Have you heard the story of Robin Hood? What about
Your
George
money
the
went to
Fair?
feed the poor.
Will your
Forget
money
about
went
it.
to feed the poor?
Try sticking your
Forget
nose
about
here
it.
again, and
Try
you'll be
sticking
crawling
your nose
back to
here
your
again,
mommy.
and you'll be crawling back to your mommy.
Motherfucker. Okay, well, he really didn't have a Gauss rifle on him, but at least we got the achievement for getting scammed. Continue the story objectives, and you'll end up having to clear out this bandit complex at one point to get a gift card for the next underground lab. It was here I unleashed my inner David Hasselhoff and nabbed the alcoholic achievement for drinking 25 bottles of vodka. You know, because David Hasselhoff, you guys remember the burger video? Is that still a timely reference? Kill the bandit leader here and take his key to the lab, and it was here that I ran into a weird glitch where I could just nab items out of a locked container, like without unlocking or opening them even. I have no idea if this is intentional. It certainly doesn't seem like it would be, but I remember being able to do this in the PC version too, so yeah, I guess stock up here. Now that you have the keys, follow the objective to the next lab, X18. This one is full of anomalies, so feel free to save here and then let yourself die to them to work towards that dying to 5 different anomalies achievement. You'll eventually have to fight this big mutant called a pseudo-giant, Although, I don't know if you technically have to kill it to progress, but you still should, because there's an achievement for killing every type of mutant. Up to this point, you've almost definitely killed a dog, a boar, a pseudo-dog, and probably even a flesh before leaving the first area. And you've probably killed a bloodsucker or two in the last lab, so you're already halfway there. To kill the pseudo-giant, I just climbed these stairs where he couldn't reach me and unloaded into him. Then I popped into the room behind me for some loot and an achievement for finding this group picture of the developers. At the end of the lab, you'll have to fight a boss, which is this fire ghost. I don't know, it's really kind of a shitty boss, and he's a little hard to see, and there's really no feedback when you shoot him. I remember when I first played this, I had no idea I was even in a boss fight. I just thought he was like a moving anomaly. So I spent half an hour running around trying to find like a button or a switch to press before just Googling a walkthrough. Anyway, killing this guy apparently counts towards your mutant hunting achievement, and you have to kill him to progress anyway, so. After a short cutscene that doesn't really tell us anything, the military arrives behind you, so you then have to fight your way back out of the lab. Once I escaped, I headed all the way back to Rookie Village. There, in the same place that our boy Wolf was standing, you'll find a new NPC named Fanatic, who will ask for your help defending the village from a group of mercs who want to make the village their new hideout. Accept the quest, and you can wait for them to arrive and have the shootout there at the village with everyone helping you out, but for some reason, I decided to just run out there, and I found where they spawned, and I just fucking grenade spammed them since they were all grouped really tightly together. Then, turn in the quest for the Sentry achievement. Also, while you're here, pay a visit to Sidorovich, and take a quest for him in which you need to find a Nightstar artifact. If he doesn't have that side quest available, just keep doing jobs for him until it shows up. The reward for this quest is the tourist suit, which you actually need for an achievement. I traveled back to the 100 Rads bar and finished the last of the arena matches to get the achievement mopped up. Then I headed out to find the Nightstar artifact. It was here that I also realized I still hadn't popped the achievement for equipping 5 artifacts at once, despite having collected and sold dozens at this point. So I did that too. There's a few different ways to find a Nightstar artifact for the quest. I found one in the southeast corner of Agroprom in this highly irradiated field of artifacts. I spotted the Nightstar behind this gate, which is, it's not really somewhere you can go, but luckily it was moving around and I just kind of waited until it bounced somewhere that I could grab it. You can always shoot or use grenades to move artifacts somewhere safer too, if they're too close to an anomaly or an irradiated zone. So then I headed back to Sidorovich and I made a save right before turning in the quest and getting the achievement. The reason I saved is because you actually need a Nightstar artifact for another achievement. So once I got the tourist suit and the achievement for it, I reloaded to before I turned in the quest, and I stashed the Nightstar artifact with my other artifacts in that blue container. Now we continue the story and we head to one of my favorite areas, the Wild. As you make your way into this area, you'll get a message from a guy named Kruglov who belongs to the Ecologist faction, who are really just scientists here to study the zone. His chopper crashed and mercs are moving in to kill him right now and steal his data, and he asks you for help, which of course we have to do for an achievement. Kruglov is super squishy, because the Ecologist suits are more like biohazard suits than they are body armor, so save frequently as you fight your way to him, and then subsequently escort him out of the area. The last part of the escort mission is through this underpass filled with burner anomalies. It's also rife with artifacts if you need a quick payday. After finishing the escort with Kruglov, don't worry if the achievement doesn't pop, because there's still one more escort quest you gotta do with that little nerd. Before continuing to the next area, I turned around and I just went right back into the Wild to loot all those mercs that we just killed, and explore a little bit more too, because this place has a ton of artifacts. It was here that I found a bunch of endurance artifacts, and was able to equip 5 for the maximum endurance achievement. Then, continuing on with the story, you meet up with Kruglov and another ecologist. We have to escort Kruglov again, but this time isn't half as hard, thankfully. Instead of mercs, the only enemies here are zombies, which are basically brainwashed, lobotomized stalkers who had their minds melted from that brain scorcher I mentioned earlier. The other enemy you'll find here are Snorks, which are a terrifying new mutant that love to jump scare you. Like, literally, they jump at you from out of nowhere. Anyway, finishing this next escort mission with Kruglov alive gets you the Explore and Protect achievement. Turning in the quest will also get you a Psi Shield that will protect your mind from the Brain Scorcher, so you can finally venture north and turn it off, which will open a pathway to the Chernobyl power plant. This nets you the story achievement, Lab Rat. Continue the story objectives until you end up in this creepy zombie and snork-infested area. Once you reach this building, the objective is downstairs, but heading upstairs, you'll find a rare artifact called goldfish. By this point, you should have naturally found and collected the common artifacts, jellyfish, sparkler, and urchin. Equipping those, along with goldfish, and the night star you found earlier, gets you the Party on the Beach achievement. Unfortunately, at this point, I had everything on me except for urchin, which I left stashed back with Sidorovich, so I'll pop this achievement later. Head downstairs now, and once you reach this room with a controller, that annoying psychic mutant, you'll find the corpse of one of Strelok's companions in the middle of the room. He has documents on him that you need to progress the story, but if you grab his suit too, you get an achievement. Complete the rest of the lab, and soon you'll find yourself escaping through the sewers. This right here is a vital moment, so we're gonna time out for a second. Okay, so remember when I said I only completed this game once before? Well, it turns out I got the false ending. See, there's a true, kind of hidden ending that, of course, you need to get for an achievement. And it's at this point in the story where you need to do a bunch of specific stuff to trigger this alternate ending, which I didn't know about. So I just beelined for the end of the game here, only to realize I was still missing a handful of story achievements. So normally, here I would instruct you to not be an idiot like me and do the true ending the first time, but after playing through the true ending, I'm not entirely sure that's good advice. See, the last section of this game has an infamously bad difficulty spike. It's not just like 1 or 2 hard fights, the last 2 or 3 hours of the game is just gunfight after gunfight against endgame enemies. Like, I don't even think I'm exaggerating when I say I killed more enemies in the last 3 hours of the game than I did in the rest of the game combined. It really kind of sucks, and is generally regarded as the worst part of the game. And doing the true ending tacks on about another hour and a half worth of combat to it. So, in my case, by speeding through to the fake ending, I got the complete the game on veteran difficulty achievement, and then I went back to do the true ending. I just turned it down to novice difficulty, which even then, I still probably died 50 times on that last part. So doing the true ending on veteran or master sounds like a nightmare. So I'd recommend setting yourself up to get the true ending, which I'll walk you through now. But when it comes down to it, choose the false ending, get the difficulty achievement, and then reload and crank the difficulty down, and then do the last section for the true ending on novice difficulty. Got it? Okay, let's continue. As soon as you enter these sewers, make a save. The first thing you'll notice as you move forward is this corpse. Loot his body, and hopefully, he'll give you a stash location. The stash location you need is called Fang's Goodies. If he doesn't give you that specific stash location, you gotta reload your save and try again. I'm not even exaggerating when I say I probably had to reload this fucking save upwards of 60 or 70 times before I finally got Fang's Goodies. It's kind of ridiculous, and your mileage may vary, but save when you eventually do get it, of course. You'll need to find this stash for an achievement later on, and the stash doesn't actually populate unless you get the location from a PDA. So now you can ignore the story quest for a bit, and we're gonna head all the way back to the Cordon, which is the first area. Along the way, you have to cut through the wilds again, which is actually where I got 3 of our cumulative achievements. But unfortunately, my game capture glitched out, so I don't actually have footage of these popping. But one was for killing 500 Stalkers, which you will certainly get in the aforementioned last mission. The second one I got was for collecting each common and rare artifact in the zone. The last one that I needed was Crystal Thorn, which I just happened to find on the corpse of a merc in the construction site. And the third achievement that I got was Chernobyl Safari, for killing all types of mutants. The last type of mutant that I needed to kill, and the only real missable one, was a rodent. These gross little rat creatures that spawn in the wilds by the train tracks. When you make it back to the Cordon, here in this dilapidated farmhouse, you should find a guy named Guide. Or, in my case, the corpse of a guy named Guide. If he's still alive, talk to him, but if not, it's still fine. You can loot him, and he or his PDA will give you information that one of Strelok's old companions, Doc, is back at that hidden stash room that we found in Agroprom. You know, the one that got us the Man Cave achievement. So head back down into that lab that Mole showed you, climb back up into Strelok's hideout, and there you're treated to a cutscene where Doc reveals the plot twist of the story, which is that you are actually Strelok. Yeah, I feel like that was kind of an obvious twist, to be honest, but it turns out you did indeed make it to the power plant before. But something happened, you lost your memory, and ended up in that corpse truck from the opening. Doc also explains that the Wish Granter is fake. It's a honeypot designed to lure stalkers north so that they fall victim to the Brain Scorcher. Why? He's not so sure. But there's a code-locked door in the power plant that must have the truth to all this mystery behind it. So he gives us a key to a room in the Pripyat Hotel that has a decoder that will open this mysterious door. While in Cordon, I make one last visit to Sidorovich. Well, okay, it actually won't be our last visit, but you'll see. But I stopped by and grabbed my artifacts out of storage so that I could equip all the beach-themed artifacts for that achievement before selling them off. Then head back to the 100 Rads bar and turn in the story quest we did. It was also here that I finally sold my 20th dogtail and got the achievement. From those documents, we learned that the Brain Scorcher is located in the Red Forest, and using that psi shield we got earlier, we can now approach it without having our mind melted. We're tasked with heading there and deactivating it, finally opening up a path to the Chernobyl power plant. The barkeep also mentions that General Voronin, leader of the Duty faction, would like to speak with us, so we head over to the little Duty enclave in town and talk to the General, who gives us some side quests. One of which is to kill a bandit named Poker. Now, this is a side quest, but we do need to kill Poker, because, you probably guessed it, he has a unique gun, and acquiring it means we get an achievement. I didn't really care about keeping this gun since it's a shotgun, so I just made a save here, I went to Agroprom and killed Poker and popped the achievement, and then I reloaded the safe back to town and continued the story quest instead of walking all the way back. This is probably the last time you'll be in town, so load up on supplies and ammo now. You're gonna need a lot of it for the last section of the game. Head to Red Forest and watch these freedom hippies get ambushed by Duty guys, then head over to the nearby Duty camp. The leader will ask you to take out a nearby sniper who's been taking pot shots at him and his men, which, hilariously, if you accept the quest, the sniper will immediately open fire on you guys and almost without fail always kills the leader who just gave you that quest, and he does it before you can even line up a shot on him, so it just insta-fails the quest. This quest is like infamously glitched like this too. I have no idea why they never patched it. The sniper won't even start shooting until you take the quest, so if he killed the guy, reload a save to before you took the quest, kill the sniper, and then talk to the Duty leader. After informing the leader that the sniper is dead, he'll ask you to join in an assault on the Freedom compound. And accepting his offer will effectively choose your side in the conflict, which gets you the Freedom versus Duty achievement. I did genuinely try multiple times to aid the assault, but on veteran difficulty, there's just far too many enemies, and the Duty leader kept dying, so I figured there was no point. Since I already got the achievement, I just left them to attack the compound on their own and continued with the story. Head to the next objective and you'll encounter a new faction, Monolith. These are stalkers that basically worship the Wish Granter and believe it to be an alien artifact. They're like a fanatical religious cult, and basically the only enemies you will be fighting for the rest of the game. Side note, but I also encountered another classic Eurojank glitch here. I was continuously getting and then failing a camp defense mission, making my PDA beep incessantly. I was like slowly chipping away at my sanity. Oh my god, maybe that's like a fourth wall breaking manifestation of the Brain Scorcher. Anyway, it stopped after I went to the next area. The next section is very linear and very combat focused, so save often, take your time, and keep your distance. Eventually you'll reach a point where this overpass tunnel thing ends with a little walkway and there's a sniper planted up there. If you go through the hole in the fence here, you can climb up to that walkway and enter the code 1287975 into the door for a little stash of supplies and an achievement. There really isn't much to say about the next chunk of the game. It's really just a lot of combat. which on veteran difficulty means a lot of pain. So save scum your way through it, brothers. I have faith in you. Eventually, you'll turn off the brain scorcher, finally clearing a way to the power plant, which of course makes everyone do a mad dash towards it because they all want to be the first ones there and claim whatever treasures lie in wait. So every faction invades Pripyat at the same time, fighting each other and Monolith, and you are stuck in the middle. When you get to Pripyat, check your map for that Fang's goodie stash, and nab the exosuit there for an achievement. And not far from there, hit up the hotel room that Doc told you about to get the decoder that opens the door in the power plant so that you can get the true ending. Now, continue fighting through the streets to the power plant. Again, this part really fucking sucks. Like, it's cool in theory, but Stalker is at its best when it's a slow, tense, atmospheric trip, not a massive urban firefight. You might finally find a Gauss rifle here. I got one from a sniper on a rooftop that dropped it when they died, and thus got the achievement, but later on when you're fighting in the tunnels beneath the power plant, you will definitely find one, so don't sweat it if you don't find one here. Finally, you'll find your way into the power plant, and eventually end up at the Wish Granter. Make a save here, because this is where our endings diverge. Walk up to the Wish Granter and, well, have your wish granted. This gets us the false ending, and a couple of, beat the game achievements, including, and most importantly, the one for beating the game on veteran or master difficulty. Now, reload your save, knock the difficulty down to novice, and head back down into the tunnels, and just before the entrance to the Wish Granter room, look around for this area with a spinning light. Climb the nearby ladder and open the door using the decoder. Eventually, you'll find a hologram of the Wish Granter. Blowing up those blue light things around it will destroy it, and you'll be thrown into a dialogue with a holographic man. This hologram will lore dump on you, and you finally get your answers for how you ended up where you are and what the fuck is going on in the zone. I'm not really going to get into it because I didn't really set up the setting or the lore, and I don't really want to spoil it necessarily either if you are a newcomer, because the story, it is goofy, it is wild, it is out there, but it's still pretty good, I think. I kind of enjoy it. So enjoy the exposition dump here, but eventually the hologram will give you a choice. Join their hive mind and fuse with them, or reject them. Red pill or blue pill? Like in the original Matrix sense, I mean, not like the New Age culture war bullshit. Choose to reject them, which will abruptly teleport you to a new area, which is just one final slog through continuous firefights as you navigate from spatial anomaly to spatial anomaly, which are functionally just teleports. Again, in theory, this is actually kind of a neat set piece to go out on, the spatial anomalies, but coming right after all of that non-stop combat in the sections prior, I feel like it needed a little bit more time to breathe. The pacing was just too breakneck. This part's pretty rough, but again, the only real advice I can give you is save a lot and just power through. Eventually, one of the spatial anomalies will briefly pop you into Sidorovich's shop, sort of reminiscent of that teleporter scene from Half-Life 2. But anyway, we give Uncle Sid a parting kiss and you get an achievement. Finally, one of the anomalies will send you to the place where the physical bodies of this hive mind reside, and we give them the same gift that we gave Mole, Bullet's friend, and good old Poker too. Hot lead. So, with the Wish Granter proven to be an illusion, the Brain Scorcher switched off, and Monolith defeated, the future of the zone is uncertain. Even you don't know if you made the right decision, but the story does end on a rather hopeful note. And there's your 1,000 points. That's a wrap on Stalker: Shadow of Chernobyl. Like I said, this port is surprisingly great, and they even said mod support is coming to consoles down the line, which is amazing because the Stalker modding scene is like, it's up there with like Mountain Blade Warband in terms of just how incredible some of the mods are. So yeah, legendary game, great port, and great achievements. Would recommend. If you've made it to the end, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the game. My channel is incredibly small, so a like or a comment, and of course a subscription, goes a long way. There was a longer gap between this video and the last video because I was originally making a video on a different game, but I wasn't happy with how the script turned out, to be honest, so I kind of scrapped it. That's the bad thing about these videos. Not only does it take a while to 100% a game, but you also don't know if it'll actually make for a good video until after the fact. So, sorry for all, like, 3 of you that are waiting, but next video might be something different. Still tangentially related to achievements, but I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Toodles for now.